The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Desde Brooklyn hasta el sol del Medio Oriente, José Flores con fuego en la mente. Raised in the Bronx where dreams don't sleep, donde el hambre te enseña a resistir. Section 8 life, no handouts, no cheat. He built his power from the pain on the street.
Cada golpe, cada lágrima caída fue el fuego que encendió su vida. Ahora camina con propósito y voz. José Flores, hear the noise. De la calle al combate, turn his trials into faith. Con disciplina y con fe, now he rises every day. From the black to the world.
By the way, if you ever need a haircut,
so
that these kids can learn how to play instruments or want to, not just learn, but want to. But I think that there's a major shift.
Iraq to Korea, he led from the front. Now he lifts others, never just stunts. Hoy es mentor, líder, amigo.
¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome to the Motivated Mindset. I'm your host, José Flores, proud Latino, born in New York, straight, right out of Bronx and raised in Brooklyn. Oh, tiguerito, ¿qué es lo que te pasa? That New York flavor, that hustle, that grit. It shaped me, built me, and still drives todo lo que yo hago hoy, today, mi people. And before we get rolling, I want to send a powerful salute to all my veterans, service members, and first responders listening. Gracias. Mucho respeto. A lot of respect. You already know, del corazón. And in this new chapter of my life, I wear a few different hats other than this cool one right here. How you doing? I'm a combat vet who served proudly on active duty for 30 years in the United States Army. Hoorah! All right. I'm a motivational speaker, a certified personal trainer, and a certified media. Cállate and just tell you what to do. And I'm an end-of-life death doula. But behind every title is one mission, mi gente, to serve people, right? Because I know what struggle feels like. I know what pain feels like. And I know what it means to fight your way toward a purpose. Sometimes we have to pivot, right? But every day, my mission is simple, mi gente, to inspire, to uplift, to challenge, right? More push-up, get down, all right. To remind people that no matter where you come from, no matter what life throws at you, right? Unless it's like a hot dog, you can redefine your life through faith, discipline, resilience, and relentless drive. That's why this podcast exists, mi gente. The motivated mindset is where we talk about resilience, culture, healing, leadership, discipline, optimism, and the courage it takes para seguir moviendo, to keep moving forward when life hits hard, bien duro. We keep it real here. New York City real. Oh, tigre, ¿qué lo que te pasa? Check this out. We do straight talk up in here, right? And that's what it is. So one last thing before we kick off. Check this out. Check out this graphic, right? If you vibe with what you hear today, if this conversation inspires you, if you appreciate the interviews, the energy, yay, woo, and the message that we got for you, all I ask you to do is to do one thing. Support the YouTube channel. Hit like, subscribe, do that QR code, and share it with somebody who could use a little bit of motivation. You know why? Because your support continues to help me bring powerful guests, meaningful conversation, and purposeful, driven content. You already know. All right, familia, let's get into it. This is, as you know, the Motivated Mindset. And what we want to do is talk about our next guest, right? And who is our next guest, right? Well, today's guest is Alex Chaparro. He is a powerhouse in the leadership business, development coaching, and personal growth, mi gente, with over 30 years of experience in real estate, business, and leadership development. He has dedicated his career to helping individuals and organizations unlock their highest level of performance and long-term success. He has worked with more than 20,000 professionals, including entrepreneurs, executives, and team leaders, helping them gain clarity, strengthen leadership skills, improve execution, and create measurable results, both personally and professionally, right? He is an ICF certified ACC coach, author of The Dreamer's Guide, and founder of the PowerUp coaching solution. He combines real-world experience with proven coaching and coaching strategies to help people align with their vision, discipline, leadership, and action. What I respect more about today's guest is his commitment to helping people not just dream bigger, but execute better, right? Because leadership is not just about motivation, even though I got it. It's about transformation, accountability, and creating an impact that lasts. So if you're an entrepreneur, a leader, a veteran, a professional, or someone striving to elevate your mindset, purpose, and performance, mi gente, this conversation is going to speak directly to you, okay? So please, let's welcome Alex.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Alex, welcome to the Motivated Mindset.
All right, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
This is stupendous, man. This is awesome. So wait, where you at right now? Chicago?
Chicago, yes.
How's that weather over there?
It's chilly, but after your intro, I'm ready to do push-ups, run around the block. I was like, I'm gonna go run one more time and just get back to it. That intro is motivating.
No, thank you. Gracias. No, we're just trying to make it happen every day. Try to stay motivated here, And with all the things that you've done in life, your career, people want to know, who is Alex before the titles, before the coaching? Who is Alex? Where you from?
Born and raised in Chicago. My family came over from Puerto Rico in the 60s when they started to migrate, or after World War II. After my grandfather served in World War II, they came to Indiana to work in the steel mills. So that's where our family migration came ultimately to Chicago.
Wow, that is stupendous. So how was it growing up in Chicago back in the day? What was the vibe back then?
It's funny, because the neighborhood I grew up in when I was a kid was, hard knocks neighborhood, but it gentrified. So when I say to people, this is where I grew up, they just assume, oh, you come from an affluent family. And I go, not in 1960 and 1970.
Right.
It was a tough neighborhood, but you learn a lot from that. And that's where you those kinds of things, either in some cases, sadly, it breaks you, but some places it makes you. And it gives you a sense of strength and resilience, and also empathy of how hard it can be for people. Because people struggle. But, I love my upbringing, and I learned a lot from different people and the diversity of the city. So, just like many of my family from New York, we love our cities. I love my Chicago and Cubs. So I gotta disclose right now.
And the Cubs, and I can relate to you because some of the areas where I grew up, like in the South Bronx, but more like in Brooklyn, I couldn't even afford to live there if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Every time I go to Brooklyn, new skyscrapers are going. That's the place to be. Yeah. So of course I don't drive there anymore because you can never find any parking.
Yeah.
Everything is so expensive in some areas, even rent. So I can relate to that. Oh, you're from Brooklyn. Yeah, but not like what it is today, right? It's something else. So, growing up, did you always see yourself becoming a leader or an entrepreneur or a coach? How did that, como se dice, evolve?
Yeah, I think, and for you and many of your guests, that sometimes growing up, you're thinking about surviving.
Yeah.
There was a certain point in my life where, it's just day by day and surviving, but there was always, I was always thinking about dreams, always thinking about achieving. And I sort of got into listening to motivational speakers as I was a kid. And I was like, man, I don't know who those guys are, but they got something.
Wow.
The first time I heard Les Brown, I was like, bam, man, motivation, Zig Ziglar. And, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. And I was a kid, I was like, I can conceive it, man. I can think big. And that, I was criticized a lot for that, because people, when you're young and you don't have means to think that big, people start saying, hey, you're being unrealistic. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of people who did not have any issue telling me you're not going to make your dreams. You're just totally off the rails here. But I kept on with that. And it was kind of funny, maybe about 10 years ago, I had hired a coach. And they said to me, they were kind of perplexed. They couldn't get me. They were just like, I just don't get you. You know, they're like, so she stops. She goes, can you just tell me, when you were a kid, what did you tell people you wanted to be when you grow up? And I've never been able to answer somebody so fast without any or you know, I was just like, oh, I know exactly what I'd say. I say, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be on stage, and I wanted to be a coach. And then she says to me, so why aren't you doing that now? And I was like, I don't know. And then that night I signed up for the coaching certifications, and that's how I made my paradigm shift. But as a kid, I had a mix of two, like living on two roads, and one was seeing where dreams were breaking, and one were seeing the possibilities. And that's kind of where I live my life.
Wow. So that was the defining moment, seeing the motivational speakers and then talking with the coach. You know, and it's amazing working for the federal government, how many coaching certifications they have.
Yeah.
That was and I never took them. I was so busy with other things, you know, because I had served in the military. So I had some of them skill set, but, you know, now that I'm out, but you're right. You know, how old were you when you decided you wanted to be a motivation? How old were you then around?
Well, you know, I think that when I started to, this was a funny thing. When I was a kid, I had every side hustle job that you could imagine. If somebody would give me a job, I would do it. And so I think like by the time I got into 7th grade, I had like 4 different side businesses, and I was making good money. So my mother was in real estate, and there was this Latino motivational real estate speaker. And I was like, I didn't know that existed. I got to see this guy talk. Right. I begged my mother and the owner of the company. I said, can I come and listen? You know? Right. The owner's just like, just stay in the back of the room and, you know, behave, because I'm a kid. So he's thinking, right. So I got like a notepad, and I'm writing notes, and I'm writing notes of everything the guy is saying, like everything. And first of all, like, it's an actual role model. This is a Latino. Yeah. His name was Ed Escobar. And I'm like, this is the guy, man. This is the guy. So these people were not like into growth mode, because they were just not paying attention to him. And the company was forced to be there. So he stops the class. And he's frustrated because nobody's paying attention to him. And he stops the class. He goes, you know, I got to ask you guys a question. Why is it that the only person in this room paying attention to me is the 10-year-old in the back?
Wow.
And he goes, what are you writing notes about? And he goes, and I said, and I remember this to the day. I said it because I guess I kind of stunned him. He goes, what am I saying that you would write notes about? He goes, well, I'm applying what you're teaching to my business. And then he was just like, you know, and then he continued with the class, but he really went like that.
Wow.
But I did that moment of listening to him speak was because before I was listening to cassettes and books. I was seeing people reading books. These were not real people. But when I saw this man walk in with a suit and tie and start talking, I was like, that's the vision, man. That's it. That's right there. But I continued with my little businesses and making, you know, 10, 20, 30 bucks here and there. And that's how I started my life as an entrepreneur, for sure.
Wow, Alex, that is incredible. At 10 years old, all I thought about was dodgeball and skellies, and I didn't even know how to tie my shoes. Oh my goodness, no, that's stupendous.
So here's my thing. I had I went to a real estate office. I said, let me clean your office. So I cleaned the office, out the garbage right after school. Then there was a TV store. You know, this was before, you know, when they had like actual stores at the corner. Right. And all they saw was TVs, appliances, and VCRs. So I said to the guy, hey, for the smaller stuff, I could take the boxes out to the car, and I'll keep everything dust free in the shop. I'll come afterwards, vacuum, do everything clean. And they had a cleaning company, but I was like, I clean everything just so everything's always shiny for you. So they said, okay, come in. And then the one thing I remember about that changed my whole life is this guy walks in to the store, and he was a working man. You know, you could tell he just came off of work. He is a man who worked with his hands. But I noticed that he parked with a pretty expensive car. None of the salesmen paid attention to him. None of them, not a single person. He goes and starts looking at the most expensive items in the store. So I walk up to him. So keep in mind, I'm 11 years old. I walk up to him and I say, oh, do you like that TV? And this is like when they had box projection TVs that cost $6,000.
Right.
So he goes, oh yeah, I like this. And I go, well, what kind of space do you have? Where would it be in your house? He goes, well, I just built a new house. I build houses. And I go, and he goes, and I have this room that I would have. I go, well, if it's that size, don't you think this one is a little bit more expensive? I go, well, don't you think this one would fit that space better? And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, then would you like a VCR? I go, you got a VCR. And I go, do you have a family? And he goes, yeah. And I go, would you like to buy now, again, I'm dating myself, okay? Because I said, would you like to buy a camcorder too? And I go, okay. He goes, yeah, okay. So then I go to the manager of the store. And I say, hey, this gentleman is here and nobody was taking care of him. So I talked to him and he wants to buy the TV, the VCR. So it's like about $15,000.
Wow.
And he's like ready to go. And he goes, and he looks at me like, is this a joke? And I go, no, he's ready to go. And he goes, okay, here. He brings out his American Express cards. He pays for it. And that was it. And that's where I learned, one, you can't judge a book by the cover. You can't judge a book by the cover. You have to treat everybody right. You don't know who somebody is, and you can't be judging people, and you got to give people a fair shot. Mm-hmm. And here these men led, and I got to say, in 1984, a $15,000 sale was a big deal.
That is, you're right.
Yeah, but I learned, and then the other thing that I did that was soul defining was that there was a gentleman who was selling encyclopedia dictionaries, and it did not work out for him.
I remember that. So
he had like a trunk full of like 45 books. And I said, hey, you give me the books. I will sell them for you and we'll split 50-50. And he goes, sure, take the books. Man, I went door to door. I felt like Moses holding the two books.
Right.
And I was like holding the books. And I walked to the door holding the book on each side. And they were huge for me at 11 years old. These were like dictionaries. I sold every one of them, man. I hit must have like 1,000 doors and I sold them. And so, but I learned about, there was a lot of slam doors on my face. I did not care one bit. Mm-hmm. I just said, all I need is 50 people to say yes.
Right.
I don't need 1,000 people to open their doors. I just need 50 of them. So I was fine with it. And so I learned, one, how to change my circumstance. The circumstances for me academically and growing up. So I'll tell you what. So I was the type of kid that was not a tough kid, but I also wasn't like scared either, which is not good because then you antagonize people.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. And so certain neighborhoods. Wow.
Yeah. So I had a little bit of the bullying, but I turned it around and made my little businesses.
That is stupendous. Kudos, man. That is amazing. And we have a question. Anthony from Texas says, Alex, what was the moment that made you realize coaching wasn't just something you were good at? It was your calling.
Well, and thank you, Anthony. I think, first of all, I love Texas. My home away from home. I love Texas, the whole state, man. So one of the things that I was very fortunate about, because I see the path, kind of where I came up, and just like, the Lord seeded me with amazing people that were mentors, that were guides, and they just came in and out of my life. And I understood just how the impact of a positive voice, a lighthouse, an example of success can be so transformational. And when I was a kid, I used to say, man, I wish there was a job for this. I wish I could get paid to do the things that I love. And then I found out there was, and it's called coaching. To be able to be there for people, to be able to share that hope, that there are solutions to every problem. There's a solution to be able to get past every hurdle. And I think that when you have people who are trained and care, that's giving you the resources to be able to do what other people may feel are the impossible. And so, Anthony, that was a big one, that sense of being able to pay back, to be able to help people, where people stood up for me, and to be able to make a profession of just sitting here. But I every day I'm talking to clients all over the world, and to be able to be that for them is a privilege and an honor. But to be able to help them, and when I get the feedback of the things that they do, that's where it's all worth it. But that's the answer. People were there for me, and I want to be there for people.
Well, another question came in, and this is Betty from Puerto Rico, and she said, what's the core difference between passive wishing and active wanting when it comes to setting goals in an, let's say, unpredictable time?
Yes. Well, oh my gosh, that is, I think you hit the core of things. You know, a lot of times, first of all, we need to understand that we need to remove the ceiling. Oftentimes the ceilings of possibility are created by circumstance and other people. And if we don't make decisions for ourselves, circumstances and other people will make them for us. And they may limit our capabilities and our possibilities. They may limit our possibilities for growth. You know, so we need to understand that there is a transition between having a dream, wishing, hoping, and wanting. I will tell you that everything that I want, I normally will find a way to get it. And what I need to ask myself is, when am I ready to transcend that from wishing to wanting? Now, what you're talking about is, what is the activation point? It's the point when you look in the mirror and you say, I deserve it. This is who I am, and I'm going to get what I want. Like, I always have a lot of clients who say this to me, and I find this amazing. Because a lot of people will say, you know, I want to be able to change my family's life. I want to be able to have a better life. But then they'll say this, Jose, they'll say, it's not like I'm saying I want to be a millionaire. And I'm like, I'm your coach. You don't need to justify anything to me. I said, why don't you say you want to be a millionaire? What's wrong with you saying that you want to be a millionaire? And so I think that, you know, in answer to your question, Betty, that activation point is saying that if anybody deserves it, it is you, and it is now. This is the moment that we need to change wishing to wanting and saying that I deserve it, and I'm going to do the work toward it. You know, and it's developmental. Here's the other thing, you know, Jose, I think, you know, being a coach, you'll understand that development takes 1, 2, 3. We have to go through the steps.
Yes.
So we may not be able to get to the finish line today, but as long as I can take the first step, you know, like I think I shared to you, I put in the book that I'd gone through a health transformation, and there were many, many years that I had a lack of mobility. And I remember when I used to get my water bottles, I'd have to drag them through the house because I couldn't lift the 5-pound bottles, you know?
Right.
So now I go to the gym every day, and like I've been going through this one specific weight loss or weight training program. So now when the water bottles come, I go outside, I pick both 5 gallons, and I walk right to the kitchen. I put them down, and it's not hard at all. But I remember 12 months ago it was, and see, that is what is development, and it's a 1, 2, 3. We cannot miss a step. We have to own each step and be proud to take each step to go through that progression of growth.
Wow, no, amazing. We're going to go on a short commercial break. When we come back, you know, one of the things I want to address is, you know, that you spent over 3 decades in real estate, business, and leadership development. And we want to know, how did that journey begin for you when we come back off this break? All right, here we go.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, hear the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes, hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these red lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
All right, all right, all right. Every time I hear that song, bro, it just motivates me, man. Oh, my goodness.
Absolutely.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, Alex, we left off on, you've spent 3 decades in real estate, business, and leadership development, and how did that journey begin for you?
Well, that was one thing that I like to characterize is that the road from point A to point B is zigzaggy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always have the ability to have a straight line to be able to get to where we need to be. So real estate for me was the zigzag to get to where I really needed to be. I had originally studied photojournalism.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a passion. I was a very visual person and wanted to dive into that. I did not finish school, but I got my real estate license because my mother was in real estate, so I understood the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit the ground running. I knew the business, and I had achieved great success. Very proud of what I was able to accomplish. Top agent. I've done virtually every job from cleaning the office to running and owning the company. And I was able to help people too, and use the creativity to grow a business. I learned from a business that has a lot of adversity and uncertainty how to be successful. And I was able to really bring in a lot of the things that I learned throughout my life to be a successful real estate person. But my passion was always in coaching and being an author. And finally, it was kind of like an incubation period. When I was ready, I was ready to do it. And going back to Betty's question, I was thinking about her as we were taking a break. And the music motivated me too, because it brought new perspective to that question. And Betty had asked, how do you know, what is the difference between wishing and wanting? Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a core to it, and that is permission, when you allow yourself to be who you were meant to be. And, when I had trouble breaking away from the industry, and I went to a coach. I went to a coach to help me be a coach.
Right.
And she said something to me that, and this is going to sound very disingenuous, so forgive me for, I don't want to sound egocentric. So she said something to me that was, I felt disappointed. I felt like, she was complimenting me, but I didn't feel it was a compliment at the time. So she kind of like just stops her coaching mindset. And she goes, when you decide to let yourself be successful, there's nothing that's going to stop you. And there's nothing that I can teach you as a coach. You just have to let yourself want to be it. And so back to Betty's question, the difference between wishing and wanting is when you give yourself permission. And we call that agency. And what I learned throughout real estate is to have my hustle and grit. I learned how to help people. I learned sometimes to put myself aside to really, and I know that this is something, I have many of my family who have served, and I know sometimes you have to put yourself aside to be in the mission.
Yes, sir.
And I learned what that meant, certainly what it meant in business when people, I have a dream of homeownership. So I learned a lot about serving other people and their dreams, and it helped me be a better coach. So I wouldn't say, certainly my dream is where I'm at now, and I'm living it, and I feel blessed to be able to have the opportunity. And real estate certainly got me there. But man, it was a wild and fun ride. 34 years, and I retired this year. I hung up the license. Yeah.
Wow. No, you're right. That is amazing. That when we're talking before the break, when you were talking about how you take steps in the military, it's called the crawl, walk, run phase.
Yeah.
The same thing. We just different names, right? You gotta, before you can run, you gotta walk. Before you can walk, you gotta crawl. It's steps, like you were saying. No, but that is amazing. Oh, we have a question, and this one's from Norma from Connecticut, and she says, what is one daily habit or weekly habit that dreamers can implement right now to bridge the gap between their biggest ideas and a tangible reality?
Yes. So, oh man, that's such a great question. And the one thing to keep in mind is that we have to think big. We have to dream big, and we can't be bashful in saying what we want. And so just as a little side thing, you have to know what you need and what you want, needs and wants.
Yes, sir.
Because we need to create baselines that create sustainability. So but at the same time, we need to break things down to its simplest core. Complexity will not get you across the finish line. Life, everything that in this God's green earth is basically very simple. I think humanity makes things complicated. So we need to break things down to the core, what you want. And sometimes there's things that we don't want to do. And we just need to be honest with ourselves why we don't want to do it. And there just has to be an honest dialogue. So the way to be able to implement those dreams is know what your dreams are and have mindful affirmations that continue to remind you of why you're doing things. Here, this is just an example. If we go to church, there's repetition. We do the prayer. You join the military. My niece just finished her tour on the Marines, and everything she told me was like repetition. Right. So you got to, the reason why these organizations that last decades and decades and decades throughout our lives is because repetition works. And so that means we need to have reminders of what the dream is, and we need to have exercises to begin to get us to mentally and physically be able to be prepared to execute on our dreams. It's not hard, but it's a daily task that can become tedious, and it becomes, maybe it feels hard, but we need to live our dream. We need to be working toward our dream, even if it's a little step. It's like when we're playing football, it's, you're doing good if you're getting even an inch down the field.
Right.
We just got to keep moving forward. So the dreamer is to know your dream, not be afraid to live your dream, to speak your dream, and also to understand, like I said with myself, the road from A to B is not an even road. You're going to go through zigzags. So you're going to feel like you're failing. But I always say this, Jose, never let a good failure go to waste, because that's where I learned.
Right. Yes.
That's where I learned.
No, you are absolutely correct. So just based on what you're telling us so far, is that what inspired you to do the PowerUp coaching solutions? Was that part of it? All these things,
Yeah, I lived my life with a lot of people telling me I couldn't succeed, and those were my friends. Those are people who cared about me. So
wow.
And so when I started, making the paradigm shift to know that I was going to leave real estate and be a coach, leaving the security of what I've known for 34 years, and say, hey, I'm going to do this. I wanted to be able to elevate. I wanted to people to not be bashful or ashamed to say that they wanted to achieve higher levels of what they perceive as their greatness. And who defines greatness is you. When you look in the mirror and you know that you're doing the best that you can be. And that's why it just came to me, power up. Yeah. This is what it's about.
Wow. We have a question from Natalie from Humboldt Park, West Side, Chicago. She said, hi, Alex. We met at the HACA, Haas is how you say it?
Haas, yeah.
She said at the Haas conference, my question is, many people know what they want, but struggle to take that first step. What's the first question you ask someone who feels como perdido, lost?
Yeah, being from Chicago and Humboldt Park, I grew up in not too far away, and in same neighborhood, but in Logan Square. So okay. right down the road. We know in Chicago, New York, when it gets cold, we lose traction.
Yeah.
Okay. So in life, we need to be able to have traction and be able to have meaningful moves. We can get lost, and sometimes we get lost for a couple of reasons. Sometimes, as you know, and Jose, your wisdom is that things don't happen fast. Sometimes growth is like, the tectonic plates, it's like slow movement. Okay. It's slow. It
is.
So, but that doesn't mean that we can't grow while things are waiting to percolate. Like we go to the gym, I go to the gym and I get stronger, I grow. But then when I'm ready to do something, I'm physically and mentally ready to do the things I need to do with my life. So in terms of your question, Natalie, we need to keep things simple, know what our goals are. We need to know what are the actionable steps that are going to get us to where we need to go. So my advice is to always work backwards. This is my dream. Let's say somebody says, I want to have financial independence. Okay, then I work backwards. What do I need to do to be able to make that happen? What kind of investments and jobs? Then what do I need to do on a monthly basis, weekly basis, and day-to-day basis? How do I live to honor that dream? How do I live to be able to get there on a day-to-day basis? Now, what happens is that the day-to-day is slow. So that means we need something very powerful, and that's called faith. We need to have faith in our dreams. We need to have faith in our abilities. We also need to know that we're going to have ebb and flows. There's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days, but we continue to move forward. No matter what the struggle is, we will find a solution. Here's another thing, Natalie. I can tell you right now my top 10 dreams for myself, and Jose and I could come up with as many reasons why I'm not going to succeed. But I'm going to have a solution-based mindset, and I'm going to thread the needle. I'm only going to look for the ways that I am going to be able to succeed. I'm going to look for the solutions. I already know that we live on a harsh planet. This is a planet with earthquakes, tornadoes, and snowstorms. This is a harsh planet. You got to be tough to live on planet Earth. I'm gonna be thinking about the solutions of how I'm going to be able to overcome and become stronger and achieve. So that means I might need to grow in place. That means I might have to be a little bit of patience, but you'll get there. In some cases, I've had dreams that have taken me 20 years, and I have not lost hope, and I'm still working at it. But sometimes you get things where things start to move faster. But anyways, man, I cannot tell you how happy I am to talk to somebody from Humboldt Park. All right,
that is stupendous, right? Oh my God, that is good. And we got another question. And Martha from the DMV area, she said, can you tell us a time when you had to power up your own life? What did that season teach you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think, and I write about this in the book, and I had struggled with weight for pretty much my adult life, and every like 10 to 15 years, I'd go to the next weight range. And so when I got into my 50s, I was like about 450 pounds, and I had lost a lot of mobility. Like when I told you, like carrying those water bottles, it might as well weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yes.
I mean, it was tough and painful, even to drag them to, So, I will say that the thing here is that I had every reason in my 50s to accept that I was not going to lose the weight, even though I had been trying for 20 years. But I would not accept it. I would not accept it. And when I started to figure out what I needed to do to power that up and to understand what I needed to do to find the life that I wanted to live. Now, Jose, I'll tell you this. The Lord made us in all different shapes and sizes. Yeah. So I'm not body shaming anybody. We all are different shapes and sizes. But I was at a point that at 52 years old, I felt that the best years of my life were behind me from a health standpoint.
Yeah.
I knew that very soon my outlook was going to get harder. And what I did is I was able to change that narrative. I lost 200 pounds. I have like another 60 to 70 to go. But I'm at a place where I can live my life the way I want to live it. And that's where I say everybody's a different shape and size. But are you living the life that you want to live? And is there anything that you can do to change that? So in that was the point where I said, I am going to reclaim my life.
Yes.
And I'm going to put things to the next level. And that was my power up moment.
Wow. No, that's awesome. Natalie said, great perspective. Gracias. When you talked about powering up, and that's awesome. What I want to do next is get into is what services you offer, and then we can get back to the questions. So I'll bring up the slides and you can just go through them and see. I know I'm gonna have to adjust it real quick because we're gonna have to go back a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. All yours.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, first of all, as an executive coach, I work with clients, where they need me. That can be in terms of being able to have their dreams and aspirations to actually get some traction, as we talked about. I work with people, leaders, in terms of growing their business, growing their leadership profile. I work with clients who have just gotten out of college and are having trouble getting into the workforce. Or I work on the exact opposite, Jose. I have clients that are in their 50s who just got laid off and are trying to reinvent their lives. And I say to them, you know what, I'm 57 and I reinvented my life too. So, I can show you as evidence that it's possible. I work with people with all manners of challenges or looking to seize opportunities. Mainly, I have to say that I will disclose right now that I am a glass half full kind of guy. I am optimistic. I am looking for solutions. I know that you have problems. I know that there are setbacks and challenges. I am looking for the solutions. And if somebody's willing to do the work, man, there's nothing. And it's just like that teacher that said, hey, when you're willing to accept, to know that when you're ready to be the successful person that you already are, there's nothing that's going to stop you. So I feel that's my mission. Yeah. My mission is to help people understand that I'm not going to help you find success. I'm going to help you realize that you are already successful and that you already have everything you need. All you have to do is let's turn the levers. Let's put the focus right where it needs to be, and let's make it happen. So I'm looking to help people scale, to be better leaders, and to find. And I'll tell you this, because somebody had asked me about how did I power up. Like somebody would ask me, hey, how did you lose 200 pounds? It was not at the gym. It was not in a diet. It was when I started to accept that I wanted to find joy. That I wanted happiness in my life. So I'll tell you, the number one thing that I'm looking for as a coach is to help people find their joy and happiness. And man, I got to tell you, when you have joy and happiness in your heart, there ain't no problem that's going to be able to stand in your way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you. Now I do keynote speaks for conferences. I work with ERG groups on the corporate level. I can do ad hoc talks and very scalable with an organization to develop programs that will help their organization grow. Or at a conference. So I love going out and public speaking, and I travel all over. Wherever you need me, I will be there. If you have a gathering and I can help, I will be there.
Yeah. And there's an easy submit form, and that is the website on the bottom. Is that correct, Alex?
Yeah. PowerUpCoach.net.
Okay, cool. And they can get everything on there. Oh, the Dreamer's Guide. Talk to us about that.
There you go. Oh man, this has been. I've always wanted to be an author, and this was not supposed to be a book idea. So I had met an amazing editor, and I was pitching them to write. I had some ideas, but I kept referencing my journal. I said, well, I got that information in the Dreamer's Guide. So I would open it up and I say, okay, this is where I wrote the story. And I'm like, well, what is this Dreamer's Guide? I go, the Dreamer's Guide is when I was really just having hard times in my life, I created a guide to teach me, an operations guide of how to be resourceful, motivated, and accomplish my goals. And they go, so you call your journal the Dreamer's Guide? I go, yeah. I put every time that I came up with a nugget of how to be successful, I put it in here, and this would be my operating system. And wow. they go, I think that should be your book. And I was like, okay. So basically what you're reading here is my journal of what were my actual tips. I never really intended to be a project, but my editors liked it. And I've gotten great results with it. I have a class now that I teach that's around the principles. So basically what I created a framework with the Dreamer's Compass. And it's basically, we have, especially our fellow Latinos, we're a culture of dreamers. We bring dreams to our hearts. Yes. And what I wanted to do is to have a framework where people don't let their dreams go in the background because it's not realistic or they're being told that they're not going to achieve. This was my work to be able to say, we need to fight for dreams, specifically in the Latino community and for our service member and for people who are trying to reinvent their lives. We need to make sure that people have a shot to make their dreams come true. That is stupendous. Awesome. And they can find it on Amazon, I see. Yeah, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. Okay. Yeah, you can order it. And, it's been a labor of love. And we're already working on the second book. So we're okay. That. Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to have you back on to push it. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, when I think about what coaching is about, we all have a tremendous amount of power. We're born with gifts and strengths. But sometimes it gets buried, because like I said, when we first started talking, if we don't make decisions for ourselves, circumstances and fate in the universe is gladly to make the decision for you. It's when we empower people to be able to stand up. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Jose, life is hard, but at least we're in control. Yes, and that there are tips and techniques and in a mind frame that we can be able to do that. So I call that from, a transformational leadership coaching where we can level up your capacity and your strength so that you can start operating where you should be operating, where you need to be operating, so that you could be a voice in your community and have a seat at the table. And that's really what I think is most important. So it's been, like I said to you, it's a privilege to be able to sit with clients all day long, I don't like to do this, but I have to do it. I opened up Sundays for coaching, and it's my busiest day because that's when people need me. And it is the busiest day. I have clients from all over the world, and this is when they need me. And it's just because, man, I got to be there to help. It's a mission, and I'm there for people and when I see what people are able to do, man, to just have been part of people's journey, is an amazing experience. And so that's what my coaching is all about. Wow, that is stupendous. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I do a free one-on-one coaching exploratory session I meet with people, they get to know me, they make to make sure I'm a good fit for them, and we can work together. I do the one-on-one coaching. I do team coaching. So I gather people together, and then I also do workshops and speaking, and you could book me on PowerUpCoach.net, or you could find me on LinkedIn as well.
And I got a quick question. Are you coaching sessions in person, hybrid, or both?
I can do both. I can do, but I will say that the world has gotten that I would say the vast majority of my coaching one-on-ones, the client enjoys having it online. My workshops and speaking engagements are of course mainly live, but I do virtual presentations for companies all over the world.
So we'll go through what's your online presence, and you have Facebook.
Yep. I got all the Baskin Robbins 31 flavors of social media. I got Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yes.
And Instagram, TikTok.
I went through all your stuff, and ladies and gentlemen, you got to go check it out. Hey, great information. I was like, oh, okay. So please definitely check it out. And these are the ways that you can get a hold of Alex and everything they have there.
Thank you. Yeah, these are my spots, and you could even and Jose, I go old school. You can call or text me too.
Okay, that's we can definitely do that. What is your email? Because what's a good email? If you can tell it to our audience in case they wanted to email you.
If you want to email me, it's Alex at PowerUpCoach.net.
Okay. Cool beans. All right. And I'll put this back up, and we have a few more questions before we can get ready to wrap it up. It said, if somebody, let's see. I like what you said before. This is from Natalia in Chicago again. It said, I like what you said in your book. Your dreams don't need perfect conditions. They need a version of you who finally believes. That's what Natalia said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man. I'll tell you, every dream that I've ever accomplished, it's when I believed in me. There was 100% faith. No matter what anybody said, it was believing in the dream.
Wow, that is stupendous. That is stupendous. And let me see if we got any more questions. So, Alex, I'm gonna give you the last few minutes. Is there anything that you want to put out to anybody, or anything maybe we didn't cover that you wanted to put out there to our audience?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you and your guests. And you're extremely motivating, and everything that you've done in your service, and just thank you for creating a forum where we could come to and have this kind of dialogue. I will say that it's when you feel that the dream is the furthest away that you're the closest to it.
Gotcha. Yes.
And that's because we just have to break the barrier, and once you do it, because people say to me, "Wow, you're so optimistic and you make it look easy," and I go, "You know what? This is the funny thing. When I would say to you all the problems that I had, maybe like when I was at my biggest weight and when I was struggling, I basically have the same problems that I did then. I have 24 hours in the day. There's the same issues. The difference is that I am the controller of the joy that I feel, not circumstance. And once I owned that presence of mind, and that I could show up for me, then I was able to give so much more to other people. Wow. And I stopped running a race. I'm just like, hey, I'm living life at my pace. And I'm always looking for continual improvement. There's a word in Japanese called kaizen, and it's continual improvement. So basically what I'm looking for is each day, how can I slightly improve this version of myself? What can I do to honor who I am? And I'll tell you the last thing that I did in terms of being able to achieve the best version of myself is that one, I realized that the best version of myself is who I am today, with all my imperfection, because only I am the person that could deliver the promise of the future that I want.
Yeah.
And so I look at myself 10 years from now and I say, what does that guy need? How do I set him up for success? And I'm the one that could do it. So, because we always look at it like, I want to be better and I don't like who I am and I want to change. I'm like, you're all you got. And it's from you that you're going to build excellence. So what I'm trying to say in plain old English is we need to start loving ourselves as who we are today. And because when you love who you are today, man, tomorrow is unlimited. But anyways, man, thank you so much for having me to be here.
And Liz says, thank you. This has been great. And we got one more question. If we can may say, if a listener is sitting on a one-day goal and feels scared to take the leap, what is the single most actionable piece of advice you'll give them today? Cassandra from Manhattan.
You know, the thing to do today is to write it down and look at it. Write it down and look at what are the benefits of making this happen, and find the one little thing. Because here's the dichotomy of this, Jose. We're talking about thinking big.
Yes.
We're talking about dreaming big. But here's the dichotomy. For you to make big dreams happen, you need to make little steps. And when you're able to invest in the little steps, man, it's no longer a big thing anymore.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I used to tell my soldiers, how do you eat an elephant? They're like, what? One piece at a time. One piece at a time, you know. And you know, excellent. And of course, Johnny from Wisconsin said where we can get the book, and I think you mentioned in Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, but yeah, you go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. You can get a copy of the book, and it'd be my honor, you know, to have your feedback on it. And thank you for the support.
Absolutely. Hey, Alex, you know, thank you for coming through and dropping wisdom today on all of us. Even me, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Okay, let me dream and make it happen. So, gracias for being here. Thank you to my audience member, Alex. And when your next book gets ready to come out, please contact us so we can have you on.
You'll be the first to know.
I appreciate it. You know, because I always say, you know, your struggle does not define you. Your mindset does. And I think you've talked about that so much today, Alex, you know. So I want to say gracias for everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay motivated, stay focused, and stay frosty. Hooah. Gracias.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.